neck, shoulders, hips, and sciatic nerves. I think that kind of gives us a broad kind of like place to go from. Also, as usual, we're going to focus on like turning this class into like techniques that we can use kind of like for like down regulation. Some very simple stuff. Because I always think like, even if you unroll your mat out and you're just doing Shavasana, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and so neck, shoulders, hips, sciatic nerve, which are also like big ones. And also I wanted today touch on breathing. We all breathe anyways. It's not like, you know, like nobody's walked in here and they're going to go, I don't really know how to breathe. Everybody knows how to breathe. You know, congratulations. But in yoga, you might have heard me kind of like make a noise that sounds a little bit like Darth Vader. I'm sort of exaggerating it here a little bit. That's called Ujjayi breath, and you can translate that into either victorious breath or warrior breath, depending on kind of like the lineage that you're looking into it from. And it's actually quite a nice way in yoga of slowing down the breath. Because I always think the kind of breath is kind of like key to kind of yoga. When we deep breathe, it does so much good stuff for us. And having this kind of like little metronome of this noise as we breathe in and breathe out, and if everybody else is doing it too, it's kind of cool because we kind of can co-regulate, which is like a thing that mammals do when there's more than one of them together. We can down-regulate a little bit, which is kind of really nice. And so but the thing is that if you kind of like think about how does Ujjayi breath work initially, and I'm just making this noise. First thing that people will do is they'll do it through the nose. It'll be like that one. And we don't want to do that because that sounds really funny. And I'm going to start laughing if anybody does that one. So as a way of kind of teaching Ujjayi breath in order to get it into this area here. Now, if you kind of like get big into yoga, you'll know about bandhas, little locks, little muscle locks in the body. I don't tend to think of it that way. I tend to think of it just as a tension in the kind of in the top part. So when we hold our breath, this is what we're using. We're using a little muscle up here to close off. So here's how to do Ujjayi breath in 3 parts. Part 1, we're going to do it with the mouth open completely. Now, we don't do that in yoga, but this is the way of getting the throat going. It looks like this. So I'm going to inhale through the mouth, making this whispering noise. And I'm going to exhale out. Let's do it together. You're all experts at it. Stage 2, breathe in through the mouth, through the open mouth, and I'm going to close the mouth and exhale through the nose. That way we're kind of teaching us not to do this kind of thing in the nose. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Let's do it together. Stage 3, do it just through the nose, so the mouth remains kind of, and we're going to do it this way. So, inhale through the nose, making that whispering sound. Exhale, still making that whispering sound. Let's do it together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. You can do it loud, you can do it quiet. Some people really like to do it really loud. Some lineages of yoga say do it really loud, others do say do it really quiet. I don't think it really matters that much. What it really matters in here is that we're slowing down the breath a little bit. There's probably no better way to downregulate than to slow down the breath, to lengthen the breath, especially lengthening the exhale. And Ujjayi breath does that. If you feel like this is too much to juggle in yoga, don't worry about it, because like it is learning to juggle stuff. And I always tend to think that focusing on the breath is probably one of the best places to start on yoga. But I kind of understand that everybody wants to do poses. So I mean, what I will cue here at some point during the class is, hey, remember your breath. And you can choose either to breathe deeply or do Ujjayi breath. Which kind of like, I don't really I don't get all kind of like worked up if people don't use Ujjayi breath, but I do think it's kind of cool. Okay, let's start off with some movement practice using Ujjayi breath. Maybe let's do seated cat cow. So we're gonna bring the hands onto the knees, and then inhale coming forward. Exhale going back. Let the body curve back into a C shape. And as you inhale, pulling forward. Let the belly relax a little bit. That's the other key with Ujjayi breath. Let the belly relax. Exhale, pushing back. There's not an awful lot of pulling actions in yoga, but this is one time when we get it. We can pull the chest through the shoulders and forward. Exhale, going back. Notice what's going on in your hips here. We want a little bit of rocking along the sit bones. Because if the hips are quite fixed here, all this movement is going through the low back. And we don't actually want to be diverting all this movement through the low back. Relaxing the face, the eyes, the jaw. If your teeth are clamped together, let the bottom jaw move away from the top teeth. And for nasal breathing, there's a spot for the tongue to go. The tongue wants to be a little bit on top of the roof of the mouth, tip of the tongue just behind the front of the teeth. So maybe you're noticing that's where it is. Maybe you're noticing that's not where it is. Maybe just bring it up, see what the difference is. Now we're going to do seated cat-cow with a twist. The twist is you're going to bring your hands onto your right knee. Inhale. Pull the chest forward towards that right knee. Maybe your chest is in line with that knee. Maybe it isn't. Doesn't have to be all the way. Doing a few more rounds, coming back to the breath. Going over to the other direction. A few more in the other direction. Noticing if there's a side that feels tighter than the other, side that feels looser than the other. And then coming back to the middle. Maybe letting the breath subside a little bit here. It doesn't actually have to be amped the whole time. Otherwise, you tend to get a little bit euphoric, but I don't know, maybe you want to feel euphoric. I don't know. Somebody said to me the other day that they'd been breathing Ujjayi breath for like 3 hours. They felt really, really good afterwards and said, should I carry on doing it like this? And I said, maybe not, because you're going to kind of get used to it. But you do get that kind of cool feeling out of it. Shoulder shrugs in either cross-legged. So your favorite position is cross-legged. You can do cross-legged or in knee pole. If you want to do knee pole, there's two different ways of doing it. Start off by putting the right leg out, left leg over the top, and then optionally of bending this bottom leg in. So it's called knee pole because your knees are in a pile over one another. If this doesn't feel good, you can be on blocks. If it still doesn't feel good, cross-legged. Yeah. Shoulder shrugs. So let the arms get really floppy. Big breath in. Shoulders come up. Pull them up as high as you can. Keep the arms floppy. Then take the shoulders back. Exhale. Roll your shoulder blades down the back really slowly, sliding them into your back pocket. And let the arms go floppy. Big breath in again. Squeeze the middles of your shoulder blades. Squeeze them together. Really squeeze. Feel for the shoulder blades squeezing together. Maybe squeeze a little bit more. Exhale. Shoulders go down the back. Another big breath in. Squeeze the bottom tips of your shoulder blades together. Using the elbows this time. Squeeze them together. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Exhale. And down the back. Whatever you're doing with your legs, swap it over so you're doing the other side. You might feel like, ooh, it feels weirder on this side. Let's do one more round of shoulder shrugs on this side. Big breath in. Really pull the shoulders up, shoot the shoulders back. Exhale, roll them down the back. Another big breath in. Squeeze the middles together. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Exhale, bring them down the back. Big breath in again. Bottom tips of shoulder blades, squeeze them together. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Exhale. Uncross your legs, give them a little bit of a shake. Find a position for your legs that just feels comfortable. Can be cross-legged, can be straddle. Baddha is also kind of nice. Let's do some neck movements. Now, the key with moving the neck is to start off by, first off, lengthening the neck. We're not going to like lengthen it like this. We're lengthening with the idea of taking the crown of the head and imagine there's a thread coming up and going up like this. It doesn't lift it by much, but it lifts it by a little bit. You can prove it to yourself if you want to like mark yourself against the wall. So start off with the neck being long, and then we're going to slowly turn the head to one side. And then slowly to the other. The slowness is here, so you can feel into this movement. The neck's a delicate thing. We don't want to be like swiveling around like meerkats. Yeah, from one side to the other. Feeling for what this range of motion is in your neck today. Imagine this string making length in your spine. And also coming back to the breath. A couple more. Maybe noticing that the neck is starting to feel warm. If you're in Baddha, you can press the soles of your feet gently together. And then bring the head back to the middle. Now, the next thing we want to do, back with this length in the head again. Let's make a little bit of manual length in the back of the head. We're going to do this. You're going to take your hands and put your fingers on the ridge of the back of your neck. Top and back of your head. When I say back of your neck. You'll feel like just kind of like your thumbs sort of fit into it kind of nicely. Maybe you can do it with one hand. Some people prefer the one-hand method. Other people prefer the two-hand method. And what we do is to just very gently lengthen the back of the head up. You're running your thumbs, either the thumbs or the finger and thumb, across the muscle along the side of the spine and coming up to that little ridge and then going a little bit higher again. It's quite a relaxing way of lengthening the back of the neck. And then bring your hands down. Last thing we're going to do with the neck in this position, Baby Yoda, pterodactyl. So up in the top left in the sky, imagine there's a pterodactyl and it's flying. You're going to look up at it because like, it's cool, right? You know what I mean? We don't see that very often. Baby Yoda is bottom right. You're looking down at Baby Yoda. Noticing as you're turning here, there's not just turning the neck. The chest turns, the rib cage turns a little bit to help you look down. This is kind of key. We tend to turn the head a lot in the modern world, but we want to actually turn the spine as well. So looking down, Baby Yoda, up, pterodactyl. Down, Baby Yoda, up, pterodactyl. So here we're teaching also, so we're moving the whole spine, not just a little bit in the neck. Very useful if you're kind of driving and you don't use your mirrors. You're actually somebody puts their hand and looks behind. I was told to use my mirrors, so I don't do that. But this is great for keeping that neck mobility for driving. Because it's helping us to turn from the core as well. Okay, so the pterodactyl swaps over, Baby Yoda swaps over. So we're looking top right this time, and then down bottom left. I like to think that there's like a pointer on my chest, and that's turning too, as I'm sort of turning from one side to the other. One more. And then coming back to the middle. Noticing if you've added any tension to your jaw, letting that go. And a supported neck release is next. Do a lot of neck releases in yoga where we just let the head flop to one side. So we're bringing the ear down to the shoulder. But I actually think this can kind of like cause some problems because the head's quite heavy and the muscles holding the neck up can be attached to the ribs and it can be kind of like a little bit problematic. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your right hand and put it on the right hand side of your face like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to let your right ear come down towards your right shoulder, but you're going to control it. So you imagine that your hand is not just like a hand, but it's like maybe you're resting into a pillow or a cushion. Or if it feels comfortable, you can even imagine that it's resting into a loved one or a pet. And the neck relax to one side, but in the knowledge that the head is supported, that it's not just going to go anywhere. If you want to exaggerate the stretch a little bit, you can take your left hand and bring it out to the side so the hand's hovering about 6 or 8 inches off the floor. Gently turn your head a little bit so you're looking down at your right knee maybe a little bit. Still supporting the head. Your left arm feel like it's becoming heavy, the left hand's becoming heavy. Going back to your breath. And then very gently, using the hand underneath the head, you're going to lift the head up to the middle. The other side. So, this will be a left hand. I'm going to kind of place it awkwardly because I've got to like not obscure all these things I've got in my ears. So I'm going to place the hand on the side of my head. And let the left ear come down towards the left shoulder a little bit. Supporting the head. Imagine your hands a cushion or a pillow or something safe to lean into. And then if optionally bringing the other hand out to the side in the neck release position was kind of nice, then you can kind of do that. Turning the head gently so the head's looking down at your left knee a little bit. And then using the hand, break the head up, bring it to the middle. Bring your hands onto your knees. And you might actually feel like you're ready for Shavasana, but it's not going to be that just yet. Just lie down on the floor. We're going to play with. Yeah, we're going to do abs today. We'll do gentle ones. Right. First thing we're going to do is we're going to play with getting blah, 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 blah. Play with getting access to the muscles in the abdomen and the belly muscles, but not like the surface layer muscles that we do through like sit-ups and all that kind of stuff. This is the deep layer muscle. This is called the transverse abdominis, and it's probably the strongest muscle you've got ever supporting your core, and it's also used for breathing. Here's what we're going to do. Bring your hands onto your belly. Let the elbows sink down into the floor if possible, or kind of have your arms in a place that's comfortable. And if you feel like your arms aren't touching the floor, you can put them under blocks or blanket or something. It's very nice and supported. On the inhale, feel for your hands gently moving away from one another. On the exhale, gently pull the belly in towards the middle. Inhale, let the hands move away. Exhale, hands come together. Repeating this cycle a few times, getting this connection between as you're breathing in, the belly's lifting up. And as you're breathing out, the belly's pulling in and helping to push the air out a little bit. A real trick to getting the belly to lift up is to relax it just before you take your in-breath. If you've got a bit of an active squeeze on that exhale, it's a little bit easier to tune into that relaxation of the belly just before you breathe in. Cat exercise 1. This is a good one for opening up the vertebra in the low back. So sciatica sufferers, this is actually quite a good one, especially anybody who feels like they have disc issues or kind of it's pain in that area. It's also really good for lengthening the muscles in the low back for just general kind of tight low back feeling. It's very simple though. First thing I want you to do is I want you to take your fingers or your hands and bring them into the curve of your low back. You know that bit between the bottom of your rib cage and your bum that's lying down on the floor? I can't actually think of a better way of saying it than that. Your hips, perhaps. There's a little. You've got a curve in your low back. The lumbar curve. Everybody has a curve. It's always different. Some people have hardly any curve at all. Other people have a big curve. It's all okay. It doesn't matter at all what kind of size curve we've got. What we're going to do is on the inhale, as you're breathing in, remember before you were lifting your belly up, you're also going to lift the curve of your low back up. So still keeping your ribs on the floor, still keeping your spine on the floor, but you're going to make that curve a little bit bigger. Only a little bit bigger. It's not like a competition how far we can make it. Then on the exhale, you're going to let that curve come back down to normal. If you're not sure where normal is, just let it come down and don't think about it. It'll come back down to a normal spot. So on the inhale, you're lifting up that curve. And on the exhale, you're letting it come back down to normal. That's it. Notice here, if you can do this and still keep your chest relaxed, your arms relaxed, your face relaxed. And if you're like wondering, well, why should I keep my face relaxed and my chest relaxed and my arms relaxed? Maybe tense them up and see what it does to this movement. See, does it make the movement easier or does it make it harder? See for yourself and then pick whichever way you feel makes this movement easier. If it is tensing up, then tense up. For me, it definitely isn't. It's weird. If I tense up, I actually feel like, oh, there's a little twinge in my back. Weird. And with the breath, making this a very small movement. Tuning into the breath, tuning into the sensations. and forgetting all about what should it look like, as mine look like, as everybody else's look like, all that kind of stuff. I think that the last one you're going to do and let your low back get into whatever position kind of feels good for it. Dead pigeon level 1. Don't worry about it. This pigeon is really happy, even though it's called dead. I didn't name it. Called pigeon on the back as well. So when you move your left leg towards the center line of your body a little bit. So this leg you've got, bring it to the middle, not close to the middle. Then your right ankle, you're going to cross that over your left thigh. This is stage 1, and we're going to stay here for a little bit. A few breaths. This is a nice gentle hip opener. It's also quite nice on the SI joint in the low back, is getting a little bit of movement into that. It's also quite an easy version of pigeon, so it's actually kind of getting into some of those deep layer muscles in our butt where the sciatic nerve goes under, especially a little tight muscle called piriformis. Feel for either breathing into your low back here or breathing into your hips. In order to make a little bit more space in the hip, I want you to take your right hand and bring it up on the top of your thighs, on the top part of your thigh, with the fingers pointing down towards your knee. So you could start up at the knee and then bring the heel of the hand up towards the hip as a cue for where it is. Take a breath in, and then on the exhale, I want you to lengthen the thigh bone, lengthen the femur towards the knee, not down towards the floor, not down towards the sky, but towards the knees. You make a little bit of length in there. Keep that pressure on for a couple of breaths. And then very gently let go of the pressure. Very gently uncross your legs. Very gently bring the foot to the floor. Very gently bring that right foot to the middle. And then cross the left leg over the top. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. Take your left hand this time, bring it onto the knee, bring it up the front of the thigh, heel of the hand at the top of the hips. Big breath into the hip. Exhale, lengthen the thigh bone in the direction of the knee again. Keeping that pressure on for a couple of breaths. Slowly release the pressure on the leg. Slowly unhook that leg. Slowly bring the foot to the floor. Roll your knees from side to side. And then roll over onto your favorite side. Staying there for a breath or two. And then slowly coming up. Not like I just did. That was a bad way to get up. Hip release. Unlocking the hips. This is kind of like an easy. This again, where we were tractioning the thigh there, we're making a tiny amount of space. I want to emphasize this is a tiny amount of space. It's not like your leg shoots like 3 inches forward. It's a very small amount of space, but it does help get the fluid in the joint into those areas where kind of like maybe it doesn't get into otherwise. We're going to do a seated version of unlocking the hips now. For this, you're going to be in Baddha Konasana. And it's one of those times where if you support the legs in Baddha Konasana, it is actually better to not have the supports in place because we're going to rock from one side to the other. We're not going to be here for that long, so you should be okay. Find your hands, put them onto the left thigh. Big breath in, rock onto the right sit bone. Big breath in now. Exhale, lengthen the thigh bone in the direction of the knee again, and then come back down. You've made a tiny amount of space. Now we made a tiny amount of space in here. We're going to actually manipulate the joint capsule here. Take your left hand, put it on the inside of your left thigh, right hand on the floor by your hip, and you're going to start to apply very gentle pressure here. Starting off gentle, almost like a feather. You're increasing it maybe to a weight of a small cat, a bigger cat, maybe a small dog. And you're going to get to a point where you feel like, I don't want to add any more pressure. Now, some people are going to be able to put as much pressure as they feel that, they can muster on here. Other people are not. If you're somebody that's hypermobile and your knees suddenly hit the floor here, then you can press against the hand with the leg a little bit. So you're actually helping to strengthen those muscles. If you're not hypermobile, you can push back a little bit. That helps to activate those muscles a little bit. And a nice little trick is that if you push the thigh into the hand and the hand into the thigh for maybe one breath and then let go, it might go a little bit further. Spooky. Just like we did before, very slowly take the pressure off. I've seen this taught where people go boing like this and it just kind of flies up. No, that's not going to be good for you. The other side. So, find your hands again along the right thigh this time. Big breath in, rock onto the left sit bone. Lengthen the thigh bone in the direction of the knee, so that direction, and then pop it down. Right hand on the inside of the right thigh, left hand by your hip. Slowly apply pressure. This is where you're going to notice that your hips probably aren't symmetrical because you're going to be able to apply more pressure to one side or less pressure to one side than you think you did on the other side. And that's okay. Again, this is why we start off feather pressure, small cat, bigger cat, small dog, and you decide where you're going to stop. Again, hypermobile people, you can press against that leg. And if you're not hypermobile, you can press against the hand for a breath and then let go of that pressure and see if there's a little bit more movement that happens. And then very slowly, let the pressure off. Bring your heels down to the floor and then rock your knees from side to side. Is that good? That's good, isn't it? Which one was the best? Or the pressing or this? Doing this afterwards? This afterwards is nice, isn't it? I like your cushion. Is that you, Zafu? Yeah, they're very mindfulness stuff, but you can bring it to yoga. Some yoga people do shout at you if you bring that bike. I think it's kind of cool. And then straighten out your legs. This is what we're going to do. We're going to bring some rotation into the hip joint. And you're going to do this by rotating the knees from side to side. Because if I tell you to rotate your feet, you're going to do that, and it's like nothing translates into the hips. Your knees from side to side. Maybe bending the knees a little bit. And then, sit up and watch me for a second, because I'm going to show. This pose has a million names. Sometimes it's called thread the needle. Sometimes it's called dead pigeon on the back, level 2. It's called like loads of other different names. And you will see it being mentioned as a really good sciatic nerve exercise. Also as a way to release the SI joint, like if you've got like pain in your low back. However, the way most yoga teachers teach this, in my opinion, sucks. Because if you've got low back, you don't want to do it the way they teach you. Let me show you the way they teach you first, and I'll show you my method. Okay, so the way they teach is like we did a second ago, across one ankle over the thigh like this. Kind of nice position. Then you get a yoga teacher goes, shoot your hands either side of your thigh and catch hold of it in this position. Well, okay, that's kind of cool if your back's not hurting. But this sucks if your back's hurting to begin with, because you're having to reach up, catch hold of stuff, then bring your head down, and it's like, ugh, that's horrible. If your back doesn't hurt, that's kind of good because it adds a lot of traction to the leg. But if your back hurts, here's an easier way of doing it. Bring yourself up to a wall. Bring your leg up onto a wall. Cross the other one over the top, and then bring this foot down like this. Adds the same amount of pressure. Doesn't kind of like stress your low back at all. This is kind of nice. So let's play with thread the needle. If your back is fine and you like the one that you're lying on the floor without using a wall, you can do that one. If you want to do this because your whole goal of this is to rehabilitate a back problem, this is the way I say to do it. Because you're not having to rock up, you're not having to like do all this kind of stuff, especially doing it when your back hurts. So choose whether you want to be lying down on the floor and doing it. The way of doing it lying on your back, cross one ankle over the thigh, pick the foot up off the floor, catch hold of the thigh, bring your head and shoulders back down onto the floor. If you want to do it by a wall, I say come in so you're about shin distance from the wall. Straighten out one leg, cross the other leg over the thigh, and then bend this leg that's on the wall. Like this. Everybody's picked the one they want to do. Everybody's back feels good today. There's one person using the wall. There we go. If you're using the wall and you don't feel like you've got enough sort of tension in what you're doing, scoot your butt a little bit closer to the wall. That's what you kind of need to add a little bit more kind of oomph to it. And breathe into your low backs. Try and flatten your low back into the mat. If your head's off the floor, your shoulders off the floor, see if you can relax them a little bit. And whichever version you're doing, swap over now. So if you're on the floor, you're going to cross the other leg over the top, pick the foot off the floor, catch hold of your thigh. If you're up against the wall again, same thing. Straighten out the other leg, bring the other ankle over the thigh, and bend that knee. I would say remember both versions, because if you one day morning you wake up and like, oh, my back feels a little bit tight today, my back feels a little bit like I need to take care of it, this is a great pose for that. And then uncross your legs. Bring your feet to the floor. If you're against the wall, move away. And then slowly rock your knees again from side to side. That's a nice one. Yoga mat angels. Now, like I've seen these done in snow. You know, when people wave their arms in snow to make like angel patterns, they wave their legs in snow too. We're not going to wave our legs. We're just going to wave the arms. Um, Anybody, if there's Simpson fans out there, Homer Simpson did Trash Angels. We did this in a pile of garbage, but like we're not going to do that one either. All right, this is how this is going to work. If when you're in Shavasana, you're okay with your legs straight out and your knees not bent, feet on the floor, you can get into this position. If this position just doesn't work for you for a variety of reasons, maybe it just makes the low back feel like it's not good, bend your feet, bend your knees, and bring your feet together, bring your knees together so they're just like in a comfortable position. Start off with your hands down by your hips. Relax the head, let the back of the head relax onto the floor, tuck the chin in. You're going to want space either side of your hips. You're not like ramming into other people. On an inhale, I want you to sweep your arms really slowly across the floor. Maybe they go so they're not shoulder height. Maybe they go to level with your shoulders. Maybe you can go a bit higher. It's okay to let the palms of the hands rotate so they're pointing up. Exhale, bring the hands down slowly. Inhale, sweep the arms out. Exhale, sweep them back down towards your hips. You're going to carry on doing this for a few more rounds, but I want you to focus this time on letting the elbows relax onto the floor. As you're doing it, notice how it feels a little bit different. Your elbows are weighing into the floor a little bit. Doing a few more rounds here, letting the arms get super, super heavy. This one opens the chest muscles, but it also helps to release some of those muscles that are tight around the neck area. And then what I want you to do this time, I want you to focus on letting the shoulder blades become heavy so that your shoulder blades are pressing down into the floor a little bit heavier. And your elbows are pressing down. So your arms feel super heavy. And then bring the arms down by the side again. And let the head relax into the mat. Let the shoulders relax into the mat. Let your hips relax into the mat. Roll over onto your favorite side. And we're going to stand up because we haven't stood it up yet. Should do a whole practice at some point where we don't stand up. Maybe your arms a bit of a swing. Maybe your neck a little, shoulders a bit of a roll. Maybe the head a little bit of a roll from side. It sounds like Rice Krispies. That's normal. It sounds like Rice Krispies. Let's stretch up. This is a good one. Standing side stretch. Kind of like a warrior one, but I kind of like this one a little bit better than warrior one. Plant your heels underneath your sit bones. Your sit bones are like the bit where your muscles are connected onto your hips. If you don't know where your sit bones are, don't worry about it. Just let your feet plant down whatever they want to plant down, and they're usually underneath your sit bones. Raise your arms up. Take your left hand, grab your right wrist. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, drop your left elbow down. So you're leaning over to the left. Just take a long breath in. Lift that right elbow up a little bit. And let the left elbow come down. You're pressing into the floor, switching on the muscles on your legs, pulling up your kneecaps towards your face. Switch on your butt muscles. And feel for that opening on the right-hand side of the body. Inhale, come back to the middle. Swap your hands over. Exhale, bring the shoulders down the back, shoulder blades down the back. Big breath in. Drop your right elbow down, coming down to the right. Inhale, lift the left elbow up. Right elbow goes down a little bit further. Plant your feet in, pull your kneecaps up to the front, up towards your face. Switch on your butt muscles. Inhale, come back to the middle. Let the arms come down in a big swoop. Warrior two. Ta. Feet about 3 feet apart. Find your left toes, turn those out to the side. Right toes come in. Bend the left knee. Hips and chest towards the long end of the mat. Now arms come up. Notice when you're bringing your arms up, do your shoulders shoot up first? Like this. If they do, we're undoing kind of like the good stuff that we've done. So let them come down and imagine your hands are on balloons and just go woo, like this. Effortless. Arch your arms. Find your left hand. Reach your left hand up into the sky. Bend the elbow, hand comes down onto the back. Two options here. You can do the easy archer version, which I actually think isn't that easy. It's got a nice stretch. The hand goes onto the elbow, and you're bringing that elbow towards the center line of the body. The other option here is this right hand can go behind your back, and you can either wave at your hands, or you can join them. If you're going to join them, though, don't get into some kind of big contortion fight with yourself in order to join them. You know, this is why you laughed at Judy. I kind of like do that with some poses, but not with this one. Take a huge breath in and lift that top elbow up towards the sky. Imagine this floating up on a balloon. And then the other elbow gently sinks down towards the floor. Relax the face, the jaw, even the eyes. Extended warrior variation. Come back out of that into a warrior two. Find your left forearm. Bring the left forearm down onto the right thigh. Right hand scoops behind. Big breath in. Lengthen the spine in the direction of your head, your crown of your head. And then exhale, roll that top shoulder back. Inhale, slowly come back into that warrior two position. Use your strength in your legs, strengthen your core to come back up. Let's play with reverse warrior. Right hand comes down on the right leg, left hand comes up and over really slowly. You decide how far this top arm is going to come over. Some people really like to go for it. Other people maybe stay more upright. Inhale back into that warrior two. Let your arms come down towards your side. So any feet so they're facing forward. Forward bends. Everybody's got different kind of forward bends. Some people don't like forward bends at all. If you've got a forward bend that you like, get into that forward bend. But here's another cool thing you can do. When you're in a forward bend, take your hands, put them on the back of your neck, and lengthen the muscles of the back of your neck. You can do that whether you're up here in a forward bend or whether you're all the way down over here. If you don't like forward bends, then what I would suggest you do is you just play with shooting the hips back and then bringing the hips back up to this normal height. So we're not forward bending, we're just keeping the back flat, exercising the hips. This lengthening the muscles of the back of your head here can be quite nice, can feel kind of like really weird if it's the first time you've done it for a while, the first time you've done it. This spot that we're massaging here with those ridges of the back of your neck, back of your head, sorry, is the root cause of a lot of headaches that don't have kind of any other real sort of cause. So when people say, well, I've got a headache, this is kind of like generally where it starts. Let your head go floppy, let your neck go floppy, let your jaw go floppy. Let your eyelids go floppy. Notice what happens. Inhale, slowly come up. Exhale, drive your shoulder blades down the back. Do all that stuff that we just did on the other side. Right toes turn out. Right knee bends. Left toes turn in. Chest and hips towards the front, and then arms, float up like this. Arch your arms. So reach up with your right arm. Reach up, reach up, reach up. Bend the elbow. Pat yourself the back for coming to yoga. Other hand comes up to here. And you're going to either pull that into a center line or bring that hand and come into the full awesomeness of arch your arms. Again, don't contort yourself to get into it. And I no longer teach this with like using a belt to pull your arms together, because this arm up here is really strong. And this shoulder here is not in a strong position. And you can kind of do not good things to the shoulder joint. Slowly come out of that. Unfurl your arms. Let them come out to a warrior one again. Extended warrior variation. Right forearm, right thigh. Left hand scoops behind. Big breath in, lengthen the spine in the direction of the crown of your head. Exhale, roll our top shoulder back. Coming back to the breath. I can hear people breathing now. It's really cool. Inhale slowly, using your core and your legs. Come back up to warrior two. Reverse warrior. Left hand goes down, right hand comes up. Choosing how far you want to come over to the right, to the left. Inhale, come back to the middle. Your arms come down, turn your feet so facing forward, and then to come out of this, you heel toe your way to standing. And then give everything a little bit of a shake. Dolphin prelude here. This is a great one for length, for opening up the back, and also for getting length in the low back. There's a couple of different ways of doing this. And I'm going to show you one way, then I'm going to show you a slightly different way that you might feel is a little bit better. Now I'm going to do it this way so everybody can see what I'm doing. My knees are going to be off the mat. Don't tell yoga teachers, they'll tell me off for this. So I'm going to go in this direction. So the normal way of doing dolphin prelude is like you start off doing dolphin. Knees are on the floor, elbows come down on the floor. And then we get really obsessed about this elbow distance here. So we kind of like do this thing to make sure this is the right distance. Then we do this. With dolphin prelude, you take your elbows a little bit further forward. Sink your chest down to the floor. Lift your hands up over your head. Now, here's the thing. Some people find getting into this position here sucks for a lot of reasons. If you're one of those, cheers. I'm going to have to turn the other way now, all right? Because like, basically what you're going to do is you're going to bring your elbows down on the chair. Sink your chest down and then bring your hands over your head. You usually don't wear a hat because like you can't bring your head down. You bring your head down and let your elbows come up. So, if you want to chair, give me a shout. If you want to do it on the floor, remember the setup. Elbows down on the floor. Measure up your elbow distance. Clasp your hands together. Bring your elbows a little bit further forward. Sink your chest down towards the floor. And hands come up over your head. So you imagine your hands like shark fins. And the idea is here that you're sinking your chest down towards the floor. You might feel tension in the shoulders. You might feel tension in the upper back. You might feel tension in the chest. You might feel it somewhere else. Long, slow breaths here. Couple more breaths. Letting the chest sink down a little bit deeper. And then to come out of this, you're going to shoot your hips forward so that you're bringing your shoulders over your elbows, and then you can come up way. Let's start to chill out. Let's start to chill out a little bit. Or should we start to chill out? I think we should start to chill out lying down on the back. If I'm going to show you a couple of poses, excuse me, if you think like you're not somebody who, if you're going to think like if you want to see what they look like before you kind of lie down on the floor, that's what I'm trying to say here. Then watch what I'm doing, and then we'll go into them. Here's what they're going to be. So I'm going to lie down on the floor. Number one, knee to chest, this position here. Number two, we're going to do something called dragonfly twist. So this knee that's up here, you're going to bring that ankle over the thigh like this. And then you're going to bring that foot down onto the floor like this. I don't know why it's called dragonfly twist. I suppose we're just running out of names. And then when you come out of that, you can unhook that foot, and we're going to do the other two on the other. We're going to do the same two on the other side. So lie down on the floor, knees up towards the ceiling, knees bent. Starting to slow down the breath. Starting to maybe even tune into the quality of your breath. Knee to chest. So bring the right knee up towards the chest. Catch hold of the knee with your thigh. Notice as you breathe in, that knee wants to push away a little bit. And as you exhale, notice that you can pull it in a little bit. Inhale, let the knee move away, making space for the breath. Exhale, gently pulling that knee in. Taking long, slow breaths. Feel for your low back melting into the mat. Feel your shoulders melting into the mat. Feel your neck melting into the mat. Imagine that you're like on holiday forever. Well, it's a little trick here. Is a sigh. Sighing is a really good one. As you take your breath in, make it a big breath. And then, okay, the knee that you've got held up, let go of it. Bring that ankle over the thigh. It's probably your right knee, but if you kind of like got your rights and lefts mixed up, don't worry. Find the sole of your foot, and you're gonna twist that. Bring that foot down onto the floor. Boom, dragonfly twist. Some people here can bring both shoulders down, shoulder blades down onto the floor to get a little bit more of a thoracic twist, the twist in the upper body. Other people did lift up on that right hand side. That's fine too. Doesn't really matter. Notice the places it's easy to take breaths into. Notice the places that it's a little bit harder to take breaths into. To come out of this, unhook that top foot, bring that foot onto the floor, bring the other knee up to the middle, straighten out your spine, because you can get a little bit kind of like wiggled. Left knee up towards the chest, catch hold of that knee. Notice as you breathe in that knee wants to move away. On the exhale, gently pulling it in. Dragonfly twist, cross the left ankle over the right thigh, and then let the sole of the left foot come down to the right, bring you into the twist. Unhook the foot, bring that leg to the middle, bring the other leg to the middle. Do some very slow rocking the knees from side to side, either with the feet on the floor or you can bring the feet up, hold the knees, rocking from side to side. Try not to rock into any babies next door to you. And then let your feet come down onto the floor. And this is where you can kind of get into whatever version of Shavasana works for you. If anybody wants to do the little neck traction thing, wants me to do the neck traction thing, I'm happy to do it. Just put your hand up and I'll find you. If not, it's kind of fine. You know, it doesn't, nobody, it's not like optional. It's not like you have to have it done. That's what I'm trying to say. I turn the light off. You want to have it done. Anybody else want to have it done so I don't miss anybody? Yeah? Yeah, okay. I'll definitely do you then. So I was turning the light down. Ooh, that's like darker than normal. Or is it just me? Slowly start to deepen your breathing. Bringing it to that place of normal breathing. Feeling your weight against the mat. Feeling yourself being held and supported by the ground underneath you. Start to bring some movement into your fingers and your toes and your arms and your legs. Slowly starting to roll onto your favorite side. I'm going to turn the lights on that one side of the hall. So if you're like got your eyes open, look down. Keep your eyes closed. Keep them closed because it's probably going to flash a lot. Oh yeah. And then slowly make your way to a seated position or whatever. Some of you moving fast, other people moving slow. It's kind of always interesting. Thank you very much for coming today. It's been an absolute pleasure doing yoga with everybody. Hope that was like nice and especially after some of the more up level stuff we've done the last couple of weeks. Secret thing that kind of like nobody else knows just yet. Um, yeah, no worries. I'll tell you what it is afterwards then. May the 4th is like election day, isn't it? Like, which is not here, so it doesn't affect this class. But it does affect my class in Aberfrau. So, because the hall will be used for like democracy. What I'm planning to do instead for that session is to do because weather permitting, is to go outside and do yoga on the beach. It'll be Zoom for people on Zoom, but everybody's welcome to come along. Tons of parking in Aberfrau. It's cheap. It's free to park in Aberfrau. There's not that far to walk for the beach. It doesn't matter what the tides are doing. It's kind of a lot of fun, and you can see me kind of like just hate sand. So, if you want to come along and do yoga on the beach, May the 4th in Aberfrau, 6 till 7. Come along, book your space. Otherwise, I just thought I'd let you know because it's like a special thing. I probably will be doing some outdoor stuff up here. Maybe Breakwater Park, maybe some of the beaches local, maybe Penrose Beach over the next summer period. So there will be more opportunities to do it. Thank you very much. Nostar, good night. Bye bye. Bye bye, everybody.